The pick is in. After a lot of speculation, the Cardinals have made their first round selection. Walter Nolen, the D tackle out of Ole Miss, who put up some pretty spectacular stats in his first 3 years of his college career. With 6.5 sacks last year, the Cardinals hope he can be an anchor in that defensive line and provide some pass rush up the middle. And welcome back. The pick is in. It's in. The Cardinals have finally made a selection. Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss at pick 16. Not a pick that either of us predicted, but not necessarily a bad pick. We'll have to see what happens with him. But I want to hear your take on this one, Jacob. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so at first, I'll say I was hoping for more of a flashy pick, either like a skill position guy, a Matthew Golden, a uh, a Will Johnson kind of guy. But looking at his stats in college, at his film from college, he's not a bad player at all. I mean, he's a production monster. I mean, you look at his stats. He's a guy, as I kind of talked about yesterday, of what I thought the Cardinals needed on the interior D line is a guy that can get to the quarterback on the inside. And he proved in college, especially his last 2 years, that he could get to the quarterback. He had 5.5 sacks this past year for Ole Miss, and then he had 4 sacks for Texas A&M the year before. So he's clearly shown that he's a guy who can get to the quarterback, who can get in the backfield. I have heard that there is maybe some character concerns, and at least that's what a lot of Cardinals fans are expressing. But I think a guy like Jonathan Gannon or even Monty Allenfort as the GM, I think as we kind of talked about yesterday, I think they'll kind of deal with that there. But overall, I'm okay with the pick. I'm not. It's not. It doesn't have me like super excited, but I think he'll fit just in with right in there with the Cardinals D line, and he can start on day one since they do need some interior D line help.
Yeah, I agree. He can't. He's definitely going to start on day one. Maybe not because he's ready, but maybe because it's just what they need to do. But 48 total tackles last year at Ole Miss. That's nothing to sneeze at. 26 solo, 22 assists. Not obviously the number that we all like to hear. 6.5 sacks. I saw on the during the draft they had a graphic saying that they were one of two teams without a player over 5 sacks. And what's funny is our radio show, I was researching this because I was like, no way, their top guy had 4.5 sacks. And I was trying to find like what other team, if there was any other team in that similar situation, but I couldn't find anything. So that broadcast actually answered my question, which was pretty nice. But yeah, no, sacks were an issue last year, and they went out and got a guy who could get sacks. I don't know if you can be mad at this pick at all. I know we were expecting edge. Jacob, you made a joke to me that because the Cowboys and the 49ers were doing their stereotypical things, drafting O-line, drafting defensive line, that meant the Cardinals would be drafting a mediocre defensive tackle that plays for 3 years and then
It's
gets
exactly what I
traded.
said. Yeah.
So let's hope that that's not what happens with this guy. But I mean, there are some concerns, not necessarily with character. I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe there is. I haven't even looked into it. But he's just a little smaller than you would maybe like from him. I've seen some conflicting reports. One draft prospect website had him at 6'4", 296. ESPN has him at 6'3", 305. And I typically like to stick with ESPN's rankings. They're typically the closest to accurate. So you're looking at a slightly undersized guy for the position. Um, I might actually, I believe I have, oh, it's not loading. I had like his percentile for all of his measurables. Found it. There we go. And he's what? For his hand size, he's in the 30th percentile. Weight, he's in the 26th percentile. Arm, 36th. And then height, 74th percentile. He's tall, but at everything else, frankly, he's extremely small. He has some work to do with his hands. He's going to need some training. Jonathan Gannon's that guy to get that done for him. I don't doubt that he's going to be able to whip him into shape and get him playing some good football. But he's not as physically dominant as you would probably want from a guy at this position. But they're bringing him in to try to be an anchor on this defensive line. I think he could bolster the defensive line in a way that they didn't have last year, frankly. So the upside for this guy is he's a great pick, and then the downside, as many Cardinals fans will know, with their first round draft picks of the last couple of years is he gets injured and doesn't make an impact for this team.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on what you said about like size wise, the good news about him being tall is he can bat the ball down, and I think here, let me see if I can pull it up. He had like each year he had quite a few. So he had it is last year he had three passes batted down. The year before that he had four passes batted down. That's something you like to see is against quarterbacks because that can get teams into second and longs and third and longs, and that's where the Cardinals defense I thought was really good last year was when they kept teams to third and 10, third and 8. It was I think when the Cardinals kind of let teams get like a 5 yard slant over the middle to bring it to third and 2, where that interior defensive line really couldn't stop the run. So I think you get in this case you can almost get a possible 2-1, and where you have a guy who could prevent teams from possibly getting extra yards and getting third and shorts, but a guy who I think can help stop a third and short if you need because we need guys in the inside of the defensive line who could really help stop the run because I think the Cardinals struggled a bit stopping the run last year.
Yeah, I mean, any D tackle, you would, if you wanted a run stopper, you'd maybe go for a little bit heavier. I think this move is purely pass rush. He showed some flashes of some good run stopping ability, especially played in a big conference, the SEC. So, he was going up against some big dogs there. And he did have 48 tackles. And for the D tackle position, that's great. That's fantastic. Um, but yeah, I think this is predominantly, he showed flashes of being a good pass rusher. Um, Good athletic ability. Once he hit a gap, he was able to get to the quarterback extremely well, very efficiently. And if he can bring that to the Cardinals, that's way more valuable in my mind than anything he brings on run defense. Anything he brings uh, in that front is just a bonus and just um, adds to the pick. But he's been pretty consistent his last 3 years, right? 2 years at Texas A&M. He had 4 sacks in his sophomore season at A&M, 37 tackles, and obviously as a true freshman, he's not going to make a huge impact, only 1 sack that year, but he consistently shows he can get to the quarterback, and that might be all the Cardinals were looking for. I'll be frank with you about this draft. One, this whole draft night has been so weird. I really haven't understood a lot of the picks some of these teams have made. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think
No,
my friend's a huge Bears fan. He texted me with the letters WTF are we doing? Those are the
uh,
exact words.
I
That's the
have a
exact
friend
words
who
he said.
said the exact same thing. So, I mean, I understand that pick. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
terrible pick. It's just not a desperate need for him. So why do it? Who cares?
Yeah.
Uh, like Donald Trump said at the beginning of the broadcast, I guess Bears still suck.
Yeah.
But no, I think I heard someone on the broadcast say that this is a draft where rounds 2 and rounds 3 are not that different from round 1 in terms of talent. I said the same thing to Trev earlier today that I think this draft is going to be made in the later rounds for these teams. What guys are they able to steal that other teams are underlooking? And that's where the Cardinals having a plethora of draft picks this year. That's where they're going to be able to set themselves apart. It was never about this first round. There's guys we wanted them to go for in the first round, and like guys like Mikael Williams just didn't fall, and that's what happens sometimes. But the Cardinals in days 2, day 3, that's where the money's going to be made because I think that the Cardinals can really bolster this team and get them on the right track forward. I don't necessarily think that Walter Nolen is going to be a game changing player, but I think the Cardinals are going to be able to get 3, maybe 4 high impact starters in this draft. So Nolen, alongside other guys they're able to get tomorrow and potentially on Saturday, that's what's going to make this draft great.